an age where the abnormal is normal, and vice versa. Within the heart of the playground, a young boy with vivid green and black hair stood trembling against his foes. "That's mean, Kachan. Look, you made him cry. I won't let you hurt him anymore," he exclaimed. A trio of young bullies, each bearing unique and formidable powers, approached the defiant boy. Katsuki Bakugo, the leader of the group, had spiky blonde hair erupted in a fiery explosion within his fist. "You playing at hero, Deku? You don't even have a quirk," he taunted. With menacing purpose, the bullies charged forward, grabbing hold of Deku and subjecting him to a relentless onslaught of fists. "I know that people are born unequal. Even at 4 years old, I knew that. What society is like. And that has been my handicap. From then until now." Now, 14 years old and clad in his black school uniform, Izuku Midoriya sprinted through the bustling streets of Japan. His eyes were filled with amazement as he gazed upon the unfolding spectacle of heroes converging on a metropolis in turmoil. "Wow, what a huge villain!" Izuku exclaimed with awe as he witnessed the epic battle between heroes and the monstrous villain that threatened the city's peace. Knight of Honor presents Boku no Hero Academia. Story was made by Kohei Horikoshi. Chapter 1, Izuku Midoriya, Origin. It all began in the town of Qingqing, China, with news of the birth of a mysterious, luminescent baby. Shortly thereafter, similar phenomena popped up all over the world. The trigger for these newfound powers was never determined, but as time progressed, what was once extraordinary became ordinary, and dreams became reality. Of the planet's population, around 80% have developed unique abilities, or individualities, called quirks. We have entered a new age, a society of superhumans, and in this world whirling in chaos, a certain profession that people used to aspire to only in daydreams have stepped into the light of day. "Go away!" the giant shark-like villain bellowed. With a wooden body, a hero is shown battling on the train rails while the crowd watches below. The hero fights valiantly, protecting the innocent. "A monster form? What a quirk! What's going on?" The crowd pondered aloud. "They drove him into a wall, so he went berserk." "I'm sorry, sir. A villain appeared out of nowhere and smashed the train. I don't know when I can get to work." "Go get him, Kamui!" some girls cheered. Approaching the scene, Midoriya watches in awe as he asks, "Who is fighting?" "You're charged with unlawful use of a power during commuting hours, as well as battery and robbery. Stand down, you big lump of evil," the hero proclaimed. "It's Kamui of the woods. So this is that kid whose star is rising," he said with excitement. A person next to him noticed his words. "You sure love providing expositions. You a hero otaku?" He smiled. Izuku couldn't help but blush at the comment. Creaking and contorting his right hand, the hero's arm formed into multiple branches, telling him, "Here's your punishment. Show us your best move, tree guy." "Here it comes," Midoriya cheered. "His ultimate preemptive strike. Lacquer prison!" However, as he fixed his wood-like branches around the foe, a gigantic lady popped into the scene, kicking the villain with her foot. "Canyon Cannon!" she shouted. With the crowd in utter surprise, a paparazzi formed quickly around the enormous heroine. Picking herself up, she looked back with her purple mask and said, "This villain really suits my formal debut. My name is Mount Lady. Pleasure to meet you, and leave the rest to me." "Please don't butt in," she winked. Shortly after, the villain was heavily detained by law enforcement as Mount Lady waved to the cheering crowd. The great phenomenon was attended by an accompanying increase in crime leaves. And while nations dawdled in making any sort of radical change to the law, men and women of courage took inspiration from comics and donned the mantle of heroism. They began policing this brave new world and defending innocence from evil. Suddenly, through the swell of public opinion, heroism gained rights as an official occupation. And due to their various acts of meritorious service, they obtained income from the state and renown from the people. Midoriya starts rapidly taking notes in his scrapbook, noting, "Gigantification, huh? As a quirk, it's fairly likely to attract attention and popularity, but isn't it also somewhat limiting since it'd be easier to inadvertently damage the city while on the job? Of course, that'd be moot if one could control one's size." "You taking notes? Aiming to be a hero, huh? Nice. Good luck, kid." He looked at the stranger with a smile. "Yes, sir. I'll do my best." The world was changing, and Midoriya was determined to be a part of it. "Come on, class. You're middle school seniors. It's time you started thinking seriously about your futures. I'll be handing out printouts on your desired life course." Slamming his desk, he carelessly caused the handouts to scatter across the room, knowing fully well what the students want. "You all want to be heroes, don't you?" The class erupted into cheers, and students of all shapes and sizes began to activate their unique quirks, showcasing their abilities with excitement. The teacher's stern reminder cut through the cheers. "Yes, yes, your quirks are all wonderful, but it's against the rules to use them during school." "Sensei, don't lump me in with everybody else," a voice shouted defiantly from the back of the classroom. Katsuki Bakugo, known for his explosive temper and an equally explosive quirk, casually placed his shoes on the table, mocking the others. "You can't compare me to these losers' weak-ass quirks. Mine's a whole other ball game. Come on, man." One of his classmates couldn't hold back, shouting, "You've got a big mouth, Katsuki!" "Quiet, you goddamn rabble," Bakugo retorted. "Oh yeah, I'd forgotten. Bakugo's shooting for UA High, isn't he?" The class stammered. "You mean that national-level academy? Isn't its entrance exams difficulty rating as high as 79? Yeah, and it's hyper-competitive to get in, right? You done running your mouths, peons?" Bakugo couldn't contain his excitement any longer. He leapt onto the table and demanded their attention. "I got an A on the mock test, and I'm the only one at this school who's got a chance. I'm gonna surpass even that all-might bastard as top hero, and I'm gonna carve my name into the ranks of the higher bracket taxpayers." The teacher couldn't help but ponder. "Now that you mention it, didn't Midoriya want to go to UA as well?" As Bakugo paused for a moment, all eyes turned to Izuku Midoriya, who couldn't sink any lower in his desk with embarrassment. "Midoriya? There's no way?" The class burst into laughter. "If the only thing you can do is study, then heroics is a pipe dream." Despite the laughter and ridicule, Midoriya gathered his courage and stood up nervously, speaking his truth. There's no rule against it or anything. Sure, there's no precedent, but..." Bakugo couldn't restrain himself any longer. He aimed an explosion at Midoriya with disdain. "East shit, Deku. Forget having a weak-ass quirk. You don't even have a fucking quirk. So where do you get off putting yourself on the same level as me?" Midoriya's voice trembled as he tried to explain. "Hold on. That's not it. Hold on, Kachan. It's not as though I'm trying to compete with you. I wouldn't dream of it. I mean it. It's just... I've looked to be a hero since I was super young, and you never know. Till you try." Despite his words, Bakugo exploded in anger. as the whole class looked down on him. "You never know till you try. The exam's hopeless for you. What can a dweeb like you accomplish?" Izuku just looked at his feet in guilt, the weight of his dreams pressing heavily upon his shoulders. The city's streets were bustling with activity as the clock ticked to 12:02 p.m. "Robber on the loose! Who is that?" the shopkeeper called out. A figure emerged from the shadows, clutching a bag of cash tightly around its body. His grotesque form, oozing with malice, smirked as it left the store in great haste. "Go on, try and catch me. If you can, that is." Word of the commotion spread like wildfire, drawing a curious crowd of onlookers. They formed a loose line around the scene, whispering anxiously as they watched the unfolding drama. Amidst the growing chaos, a blond man walked behind them. Unnoticed by the crowd watching the escaping villain, the ordinary person suddenly turned into a muscular figure. The transformed man stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with hope. "Yes, there is," he announced confidently. "Why do you ask? For I am here." He kept moving desperately, leaving behind a trail of slime and stolen cash as he tried to escape from the unexpected hero who had just arrived on the scene. As the final bell rang, marking the end of the school day, groups of friends and acquaintances gathered in clusters, animatedly discussing their plans for the evening. "Let's go karaoke," one of the classmates suggested. "Can't. I got to do the thing," another replied. Lost in thought, Midoriya stood at the back with his gaze fixed on his phone. He scrolled through a news article, and his eyes widened as he read about the day's incident. "Today's incident made the top of Yahoo News. I've got to hurry home and get my notes in order," he mumbled to himself. But just as he reached for his notebook, his childhood friend and classmate Bakugo swooped in and snatched it from his grasp. "We're not done yet, Deku," he declared. "What's that, Katsuki?" one of his friends asked. "For my future," he teased. "For real? Goddamn, Midoriya!" "Give that back. It's mine," Izuku demanded nervously. But Bakugo had no intention of returning the notebook. In an instant, he unleashed his explosive quirk, obliterating the notebook in an instant. Izuku's world shattered with them. Looking at him for a brief moment, he decided to then toss the remnants of the notebook out of the window. "You know what they say about all the top heroes? What they had in common? They could all say this about their school years. I came from an average municipal middle school, and I was the first, the only. And I want to make sure the term UA graduate maintains the same level of gravitas. I'm a perfectionist by nature, you see." Bakugo stepped closer with his heated hand clasping his shoulder. "So what I'm saying is, forget about UAA, little nerd." Defeated and trembling, Izuku stood there as Bakugo and the group walked away, leaving him to his shattered dreams. "Oh man, as usual he can't talk back," one of their classmates added on. "Just leave him," Bakugo continued in a mocking state. "He's such a sad sack that even now that he's a senior, he still can't face reality. If you want to be a hero so bad, there's actually a really good way. If you believe they're holding your quirk over in the next world, you should just dive off the rooftop." He clenched his teeth and turned around to confront Bakugo, but was met with a menacing glare. "Got something to say?" Bakugo challenged. Midoriya froze, unable to muster a response. As he left the school building, Midoriya walked outside to find the remnants of his notebook floating on the school fish pond. "You asshole! If I seriously did it, that'd be instigation to suicide. Think before you speak." He plucked the damaged pages from the water, his fingers trembling with despair. "It's not food, dumb fish. It's my notebook, idiot. You total moron." As he watched the fish nibbling at his ruined notes from the school pond, a distant memory stirred within him. In a cozy living room, the sun's warm rays filtered through the curtains as young Izuku sat on a chair, engrossed in his computer. His all-might action figure stood proudly by his side, a miniature symbol of hope in a digital world. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he beckoned to his mother, who was busy in the kitchen. "Mommy, come look!" he called out, his voice filled with enthusiasm. His mother approached her precious child, gazing at the computer screen, where the same video played repeatedly. Filtered through the dark curtains, Izuku sat on his chair, engrossed in his computer. "What? Again? This video must have gotten thousands of views just from you hitting refresh, Izuku. It's too scary for Mommy, honey," she said, her affectionate tone tinged with amusement. As his mother booted up the video, Izuku shifted in his chair, his head moving back and forth with excitement, holding his all-might action figure. That video was old footage of the fateful moments after a huge disaster. In the video, a reporter's voice filled the room. "Can you see? He's already rescued 100 people. It's unreal. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. Unreal." It was the debut of a singular hero. With a great physique, an incredible man walked out of the rubble. His chiseled features included a strong jawline and bushy eyebrows. His costume wore a skin-tight blue bodysuit with a red symbol resembling a Y with a white diamond at its center. White lines extended from his chest to his back shoulders, all outlined with the same red symbol. "He's laughing," he called out. With a crowd of people behind him, the hero declared with a radiant smile, "Never fear. Why? For I am here." Young Izuku couldn't contain his excitement. "He's so cool. When I get my quirk, I want to be just like him," Izuku cheered. Later, at a doctor's office, a medical professional simply shared, "It's best you give up." Midoriya was completely in shock and confusion, as he couldn't comprehend the severity of what he was hearing. Having an appointment with the examiner, Izuku's mother questioned the doctor with a sense of urgency. "Doctor, you mean there's something wrong? Every other child at his kindergarten has manifested, but Izuku still hasn't." "I'm sorry, madam," the doctor replied. "Remind me, you're 4th generation, correct? Your quirk, I mean." "Yes, naturally. But I just dabble with attracting objects from time to time. And my husband breathes some fire here and there," she explained. The doctor examined an X-ray of the young boy's feet and shared a painful truth. "By all rights, if you have a quirk, it'll manifest by age 4, or possibly, it's some odd complex quirk. But take a look here. According to research regarding the dawning of the great phenomenon, it's all in the joints in the pinky toe. Did you know? Parts of the human body we don't really use are called vestigial. People without the extra joint deviated from the standard mold. Little Izuku has 2 joints. In this era, that is quite rare. It indicates he is a standard mold without a quirk." Later that day, Midoriya watched the video again. "He's laughing!" he exclaimed, pointing at the screen. Tears welling up in his eyes, he continued. "Mommy, no matter where people in trouble are, he goes and saves them with a smile. Because he's a super awesome hero. Do you think I could be one too?" Izuku's mother hurried to her son's side, tightly embracing him with her tears flowing continuously. "I'm sorry, Izuku. I am so sorry," she said apologetically. "No, Mom, that's not what you're supposed to say. What I wanted to say was..." The cold breeze swept under the bridge, rustling the leaves and ruffling Midoriya's hair as he walked beneath it. In the dimly lit setting, he muttered to himself, "I promised myself, didn't I? That's right. Don't listen to what others say. Just keep looking forward." Suddenly, as if summoned by fate, a monstrous sludge villain emerged from the dark, dirty sewage lid behind him. It oozed with malevolence, almost delighted at the sight of its unsuspecting prey. "Well, what do we have here?" A guy's in M size, it hissed with its form shifting ominously. The villain lunged itself forward and engulfed Midoriya in its foul body before he could fully register the threat. Panicked and bewildered, the young hero wannabe found himself trapped within the suffocating mass. He struggled to comprehend the nightmare unfolding around him. "It's okay, kid," the sludge villain sneered. "I'm gonna use your body for a bit, so cool it. You'll only hurt for 45 seconds. Soon it'll all be over. I'm saved. You're my hero. I never counted on that guy paying this town a visit." Inside the vile creature, Midoriya tried to speak out, but nothing came. Desperation welled up as he clawed at the sludge encasing his mouth. "You can't grab a hold of me, I'm amorphous," the villain taunted, its malevolent laughter echoing through the darkness. "Can't breathe, body, growing weak, I'm gonna die. Am I dying? Somebody, I'm dying. Why me?" Just as hope seemed lost, a thunderous crash shattered the silence. The sewer lid above was punched with incredible force, and a towering figure descended into the fray. It was All Might, the symbol of peace and the hero Midoriya had always admired. He emerged from the sewage, clutching his groceries in one hand. "Have no fear, boy, for I am here," All Might declared with confidence. With unshakable resolve, All Might charged directly at the malevolent superhuman, rippling with power. His fist, wrapped in an aura of concentrated energy, drew back, and then he unleashed it upon the sludge villain. "Texas! Smash!" he bellowed, and his fist rocketed forward, gushing a high wind pressure that sliced through the villain's form, forcing it to disperse in defeat. All, my," he voiced barely, as the boy suddenly fell unconscious. Patting his cheek quickly, he woke up slowly, only to realize his idol is right in front of him. "Thank goodness you're okay," All Might said. Upon deeper inspection, his eyes were overshadowed by his eyebrows, which made him look even more heroic. Midoriya, overwhelmed by the situation, took a step back, his heart racing. "And you're lively to boot," All Might comments with a hearty cheer. "I must apologize. I got wrapped up in villain cleanup. I'm not always this way, I swear. Must have been off my game. I'm too excited by this unfamiliar land, perhaps." All Might, the world's #1 hero, then revealed a bottle that imprisoned the sludge villain. "But I must thank you. With your help, I've shut him into this bottle." All Might, in the flesh, right before my eyes. Izuku dazed off for a moment in disbelief. Seeing him in person is totally different from watching videos. Quickly, he scrambled to get his notebook. "Oh yeah, your autograph. Where'd I—" "This notebook." Izuku picked up the book, and his eyes widened when he noticed that it was already signed on both pages, in all capitals. "It's already in here," the teenage boy exclaimed. Thank you so much, I'll treasure it as an heirloom." "Well, I'm off to deliver this perpetrator to the authorities," All Might announced. "When next we meet, it'll be through a TV screen." "Huh? Already?" Izuku hesitated, his voice barely more than a whisper. "You can't stay?" Readying his legs, the hero prepared to leave. "Pros must do battle with villains and time itself. Wait, don't go yet. I've got something I need to ask." "Now then, be sure to keep cheering me on," he pounced. As All Might soared into the sky, the boy couldn't let go of his hero. He clung to All Might's leg, his heart pounding in his chest. "Huh? What the? Kid, you! Let go! There's such a thing as too enthusiastic," All Might shouted. If I let go, now, I'll die," Izuku replied, fear gripping him as he hung high above the ground. "By Jove, you're right." All Might acknowledged the gravity of the situation. With the wind contorting his face, Midoriya spoke urgently, his words rushed by adrenaline. "Actually, I wanted to consult you. I need to ask... you... Okay, I understand. So please close your eyes and mouth," All Might reassured him. The hero then coughed rapidly, steam escaping from his mouth, and eventually, a bit of blood. Behind his fixed smile, a hint of the strain he bore became apparent. The lonely villain suddenly awoke in confusion. "Where am I?" he remarked. The surroundings were unfamiliar, and he could sense something was amiss, but what he did see was 3 figures strolling about. "Shit! Please, don't let it be him! Anyone but him!" In the bustling city of Japan, Bakugo and his friends walked along the streets of the massive area. Engaged in a heated conversation, they discussed with one another, "He's your childhood friend, ain't he?" "You really overdid it today, man," his friends observed. Bakugo couldn't contain his frustration and kicked a bottle that laid on the ground. "It's his fault for getting in my way," he remarked, as he contorted in anger. He's still got that stupid, dreamy expression from back then. Just seeing it pisses me off. His emotions bubbled over as he exploded his hand, causing his friends to flinch. "And another thing. Didn't I tell you to quit smoking? If we're found out, my recommendation letter will catch flame too." Bakugo boomed as his friends suddenly shivered, directing their attention behind him. A slimy substance began to expand and take shape, forming a grotesque, elongated figure. The being's large mouth opened wide, revealing a sinister, toothy grin. "Nice! A new guy's," it hissed with malice, "and one with a tasty quirk, too." Landing atop a building, Izuku shivers on contact with the rooftop, thinking to himself, that was scary. The world-class hero gazed at the city below as he saw the sprawling metropolis with its towering buildings and citizens. "I say, could I just unload you downstairs? I seriously have no time, and I don't lie." All Might's powerful voice echoes across the rooftop as he stands tall in his iconic strength-exuding form. "Wait!" Izuku calls out desperately. "No, I can't!" All Might responds quickly, his tone heavy with responsibility. But with courage, Midoriya steps forward and asks, "Can someone who's quirkless become a hero? Can even a quirkless person be like you someday?" "You're quirkless." As Izuku explains his ambitions and dreams, All Might felt a sudden pain in his chest as he surrounds himself in heavy smoke. "It's no good. Holy shit. Holy goddamn." Without looking, Midoriya continues softly, "I have no quirk, so I'm constantly made fun of by everybody. Maybe it's not just because I'm quirkless, but I don't really know why. I just think saving people is the coolest, most awesomest thing ever. I want to know no fear and save people with a smile. I want to be a legendary hero like you and—" But as the smoke dissipates, he looks up in shock to see a nearly skeletal being with a sharp chin and long, scraggly hair. "You shriveled up! Huh? You mean all this time? Huh? Are you an imposter? You're a stick!" With dead eyes and blood dripping from his mouth, the weakened All Might says, "I am still All Might." "What? It can't be!" Izuku calls out. The hero, still in his weakened form, begins to explain his true condition. "You know how some guys swagger with their abs out at the pool? It's like that." "No way!" All Might then sits down and reveals something to him. "A smile that knows no fear, huh? Since you've already seen my true form now, I might as well. But whatever you do, don't post this on the internet or whatever. This is a wound a villain gave me 5 years ago," he remarks, pulling up his white shirt with a deadly injury. Midoriya is horrified by the sight of the scar. All Might continues, "My respiratory system is in a shambles, and my stomach was totally scooped out. I've wasted away from constant surgeries and their complications, and I've been reduced to a maximum of around 3 hours of heroics every day." 5 years ago, Izuku comments, "Was it your fight with Super Venom Chainsaw? You know your stuff. I won't let a thug like him take me down. I haven't told the public about my condition, so I ask you to respect my wishes and keep them. The symbol of peace, who always rescues innocence with a smile, must never succumb to the forces of evil. The reason I laugh is to deceive myself and distract from the pressure and terror that dwells within me. Midoriya is mortified by the revelation, but listens intently as All Might presses. A pro is always laying his or her life on the line, so I just can't bring myself to tell you can do it even without a quirk. If you aspire to save people, there's always the police force. Villain custody is often thankless work, but that too is a job worthy of praise. The hero then walks himself to the door. I won't denigrate dreaming. That being said, you need to see reality for what it is, kid. As he closes the rooftop door behind him, he ponders to himself, now to drop the villain off it. But when he searches his pocket, the imprisoned villain is missing. All Might realizes something has gone terribly wrong. Taking the stairs down from the rooftop, All Might notices that there are explosions in another area of the city. No. In the area where the explosions are happening, the villain, now free, exclaims, "Like I'd let some gutter mud guy swallow me whole, you!" His sinister tone sends shivers down the spine of onlookers. The crowd around the disaster multiplies as they witness the wreckage of the city unfolding before their eyes. Wow, that doesn't happen to be a big-name villain, does it? Knock them flat, heroes. The heroes attempt to fight the sludge villain who has taken over Katsuki's body, but their efforts seem futile. They can't get close without causing casualties. "It's a no-go for me unless it's a two-lane street," Mount Lady remarks as she tries to squeeze into the narrow road. Other heroes discuss their limitations and struggles as they try to help the people around them first, most importantly. The punching hero, Death Arms, tells them he's too fluid to grab, and he's exploiting that poor kid's quirk. Thanks to that, this is virtually a minefield. He's triply untouchable. The villain continues to pound the city in explosions, trying to consume Bakugo in the process. The heroes are at a loss, and they discuss their options. Shit, not one of the heroes on the scene can tackle this guy. We've got no choice but to wait for a hero with an advantageous quirk. Until then, let's keep the damage under control. Somebody will come soon for him. I feel sorry for that kid, but he'll hold out a little longer. Shit! If only we had a power that can blow him away. Behind the crowd, the weak and regretful All Might pants as he scolds himself for losing the villain when he tried to get Midoriya off his leg. Still feeling the wound on his chest, All Might thinks to himself, all the time, I'd failed to notice. In the time I spent admonishing that fan, I'd lost sight. I'm pathetic. How could I? Walking back home, Midoriya holds his damaged notebook as he thinks about All Might's words about facing reality and seriously looking at his future. He brushes his hand against his nose and starts to cry softly. I told myself I'd climb to the top of the pro-hero world. Don't cry, just let it sink in. I always knew it was a fantasy, but I desperately refused to accept it. Just block it out. Just block it all out. Just... As he walks by, he sees a large crowd gathering at the edge of the street. What the... I came by habit. To see the heroes. I should just quit already. It's hollow now. As he approaches further, he notices a lot of explosions coming from the sludge villain. Him again? All Might? Did he slip out from under you? Did you drop him? In which case, it's my fault. Why are all the heroes at a standstill? The guy's got some middle schooler hostage. The crowd ponders. Midoriya holds his mouth in anguish, thinking, he swallowed somebody else. Will he or she be able to bear that excruciating pain? I see. So that villain is the same one All Might was chasing earlier, right? All Might? Seriously? He's here. Yeah, I saw him a second ago. In that case, what's All Might doing now? They wonder. With All Might hearing the conversation among the people, Midoriya realizes, This is all my fault. All Might can't move. And now the villain can't be captured. They need to wait for a hero with a quirk that'll work against him. Hang in there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody will come save you soon. A hero will soon. However, as he makes eye contact with Bakugo, he instantly rushes to the scene. Taking everyone by surprise, the heroes beg him to stop, but he keeps running forward directly at the villain. That brat, Deku! Katsuki tries to voice out, but it's muffled by the sludge villain. What am I doing? Why am I running? The villain moves itself forward, proclaiming, I'll blow you to pieces. What do I do? What do I do? At a time like this? Izuku then remembers his notes and attempts to fight the villain, throwing his bag at him. Hitting him directly in the eye with one of his notebooks, he reached up to Bakugo and tried to tear the sludge away from him. Catchin'! Why you? Katsuki demands with a shout. Hastening his efforts, Midoriya tells him, My legs moved on their own. I don't know why either. I could have spouted off any number of quips. But really, holding on to his tears, he finishes, It's because your eyes were pleading for help. After hearing that remark, All Might couldn't hold it anymore. He ridiculed himself as he tried to transform himself into his heroic form. I'm pathetic. I'm pathetic. Stop. It'll only take a little while longer. Don't get in my way, the villain bellows, trying to attack the young teenage boy. You want to kill yourself? You'll die for nothing. The heroes warned him, but as they try to get into the action, a strong, tight grip grabs Midoriya's and Bakugo's hand. I chewed you out for something I nearly didn't put into practice just now, All Might declares. A pro always puts his life on the line. Detroit. Smash. With one punch, the #1 hero instantly splatters the villain with his fist, creating an enormous whirlwind that even causes the clear skies to rain upon the area. Rain? Unbelievable. He sent him into the stratosphere with just the wind pressure. The crowd ponders. Hold on! Don't tell me! He altered the weather with a single right swing. Oh my God! So this is All Might. Subsequently, the other heroes collected the bits of villain mud that fell as rain and delivered them safely to the cops. They all got really angry with me. You had absolutely no reason to rush headlong into danger like that, Death Arm scolds him. Meanwhile, Kachan got nothing but pats on the back. You're a tough customer, and that quirk. Once you become a pro, I'd love you as my sidekick, a hero remarks. But Bakugo looks to the side. As the drama settled, Midoriya grabbed his bag and decided to head off, thinking, I wanted to apologize to All Might, but maybe I can leave a message on his homepage. Deku, Bakugo shouted. With rage, he continued, I never asked to be saved, least of all by you. In fact, you didn't save me. Right? I did it alone. I won't let a quirkless, worthless little rodent like you look down on me. You think I owe you some kind of favor? Don't you dare fucking look down on me, you shitty goddamn nerd! Embarrassed, Bakugo turned around and walked away. He's one tough cookie, he sighed. He's right, of course. It's not as though I did anything or had any effect, but still, I'm glad. Now I can finally focus on a future that's feasible for me. But All Might caught him off guard and proclaimed across the empty street, For I am here. What? All Might, what are you doing here? Weren't you surrounded by the press? All Might replied, Giving them the slip is easy as pie, for I am the mighty All Might. However, he instantly transformed back to his original weak form, coughing blood. Taking a moment to think, the hero finally said something. Kid, I came here to thank you and to set the record straight, as well as to give you a suggestion. Midoriya was puzzled as he continued. if you hadn't been there, if I hadn't heard your story, then I would have gotten dangerously close to not living by my own words, to being all talk, flashing fake muscle. Thank you. Fake muscle? Midoriya commented his own opinions. But it was all my fault to begin with. I interfered with your work and spoke out of turn even though I'm quirkless? But that's just it, All Might replied. Of all the people at the scene, only you, only cowardly quirkless, you made the difference. You're the one who made me act. There's something that's said about top heroes when they were still students. Most of their stories are linked by the following line. My body moved on its own before I could think. Why am I remembering what Mom said that day? Hearing his response, Midoriya leaned down and started to shed some tears, thinking about his mom's apology. And you did the same thing, All Might reassured him. Yeah, he cried. No, Mom. What I wanted you to tell me that day was, you can become a hero, he stated. Dreams have become reality. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. This is the tale of my becoming a top hero. And the legend begins.